everybody, it's Candace Renee, and welcome back to my channel, Surviving and Thriving, the Black Experience. Without further ado, we're going to hop into part 3 of our discussion with Leonard Dungee. Stay tuned.
You don't all have to be entrepreneurs, but the bottom line is learn a skill set, find out what, because then there's AI creeping up on us. So find a skill set that is needed, um, and master it. You can be an entrepreneur, even if not. Like I said, electricians make a lot of money.
They show do. And as a matter of fact, as you were saying as well too, when you're like, hey, if you want to be an electrician, get the skill of being an electrician, but then you can also, in fact, have your truck and have this business under you. You make way more money, or you make as much money as a doctor in that, because everything belongs to you. I think that actual teaching of everything belongs to you is so taboo, I think, for quite a few people. And I can't lie, even for myself, because I'm going through learning this aspect now. And I've been learning it for the past year now, that like it's going into business for yourself is absolutely amazing. It has its ups, it has its downs, it has all of its turnarounds and stuff, but it's also a very scary space, especially if you've never learned, you don't have a blueprint for someone to teach you it. It's very hard, but it's well worth the ride. So let
Yes.
me say that as well. So Leonard, how do you navigate the challenges of being both respected and relatable in spaces of leadership and influence?
Well, if you're respected, then you're going to be relatable. Because you don't have to like me, but you're gonna respect me. So,
Mhm.
and if someone that is respected is speaking, then he doesn't have to worry about. I would hope that you would, understand the message. But if not, I mean, maybe we just need to have some people are visual learners, some people are whatever. So, but yeah, I'm more concerned about the integrity, my integrity, and people respect me for being a good businessman, being a good person. Other than that.
Gotcha. In your opinion, what's the biggest misconception people have about Black men with the past, and even Black men in general?
I think a lot of times that the black man with the past thing is, I think it's I mean, I can understand why some people may not want to have to, deal with that, the whole felony and the job and whatnot, but I don't have that problem. I mean I do, but I don't, because I work around it. So also we have to remember that in 1994 they created what's called a crime bill, which locked up hundreds, if not thousands, of African American men who were targeted from the beginning. So that whole mass incarceration, I was in Arizona State Prison before went to the feds and got, swabbed out, as they put it. But I remember Arizona State, the state of Arizona has 6% population is black, right?
Mm-hmm.
How come in the prison, 33% of the prison population is black? How does that work? Where do these black men come from?
Mm. It
So
sounds very strategic, is what it sounds like.
sounds very strategic. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think the mass incarceration, there's people that went to prison, and I'm not saying they didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying they
Right.
just, if they had the right lawyer or what have you, they wouldn't have done a day. So I think I've seen it happen. I've seen, um, you know, some people say I did it because I had a white lawyer, but
Mm-hmm.
you didn't get me off. I still did 7 years.
Right.
So it could have been worse, but I guess, but yeah.
I find that so interesting that, as you were talking about the percentage of the population of Black people who are incarcerated out there, and it literally extending from after, I think you said, the crime bill, I believe, after that going into effect. It's like, I was just watching a documentary, so I want to make sure I say it correctly, but it was something about from back in the day, the chain gang, right? If you think back in regards to like slavery, right, and when everything had in fact, and please correct me if I'm wrong if there's different knowledge that you know, but it draws me back to the aspect of when there was slavery, and then when the South did not want to release their slaves, to it in fact being, well, hey, well, now we're going to create this industrial prison system to where if you are in fact caught, you're going to be in fact be in prison. Even if you came up here and you happen to be free, you're still going to be arrested and be sent back. And so it just kind of resonates like as if history does not change. It just consistently keeps on repeating, just in a different way. Or do you see it differently?
I used to, but then I read the Constitution,
Okay.
and the Constitution says slavery was the 13th, 14th Amendment, 13th.
It's
Slavery is
13. Yeah.
hereby, right. Slavery is hereby abolished, semicolon, except for in terms of incarceration. Whether you're locked up or incarcerated, it says it in the Constitution. So it's not like, I used to be like, yeah, they did target black men. I mean, that's what the crime bill was. They knew that, in for instance, in the 90s, they knew that, cocaine was in the suburbs and crack was in the hood. So let's make the crack, um, you know, sentences much larger than the cocaine sentences. And, you know, who's going to get locked up behind that? Black men and women.
Mm.
Um, but it says in the 13th Amendment that it's 13th Amendment that slavery is hereby abolished, semicolon. And you know what comes after a semicolon, right? Something about to change.
Something about to
Except
change.
for,
Yep.
exactly, except in terms of incarceration. So at that point, anybody, any color can get locked up. But
Mm-hmm. I think about how there's people who are in fact incarcerated now, and then their aspirations end up being, hey, and I don't think there's any. Let me say this: I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I've seen documentaries where people talk about, hey, they're here for however many, so many years, and with the behaviors and things, or good behavior and things and such, they're able to pilot programs, right? Programs that like maybe they knit something or they make something for the actual outside population, but they get paid like 10 cents, like a penny, for these things that they're doing. And I'm just like, okay, so it is such a, it's such a this for me, it's such a like, so either,
yeah,
which way are you doing this? So is it going to be a punishment? Because how does this then tie into like, this is a punishment? I don't have a problem with people doing extracurricular activities and learning and doing those things while in prison, but like, why aren't you going to do a fair wage? What part of wage has to do with what in fact is taking place? Like, what part of like
yeah,
cutting out that doesn't make sense?
yeah. Only certain prisons do that. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
there's only like I know the feds do it, and I know Arizona, California, and I think Nevada, where they actually pay the inmates. But they're right, they're only paying them. Like I made 50 cents an hour, but I was a teacher. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When I worked in the kitchen, I made 40 cents an hour. When
And
I
isn't
did,
that
I did
crazy
my
with the
last two
same
years.
skills, though? The same skills that you do outside, that
Oh,
you
yeah,
do
I
in
had a,
there, 50 cents? It's correct. It's
so yeah. And then like in Georgia, they don't give a shit. You can go work in the field and we ain't paying you shit. We'll feed you good. That's what they do in Georgia for the most part. If you go to a county camp, but anyway, so
mm,
yeah, in Georgia, that's people don't even remember this. Georgia was the penal colony back in the 1700s. Georgia was where the other colonies sent their inmates. So Georgia began as a colony that made money off of incarceration.
mm. Learn something new
Well, a
every
lot of
day.
people don't know that. So incarceration has been a big business for a while. Now, I don't even know if you've heard about this recently. These private prisons are suing the states because they're not keeping up the quota. When they signed a contract with the private prisons, and part of it was to promise that we need a certain amount of heads to come through here. We got beds to fill. If you can't fill these beds, then you're in breach of contract. And there's a lot of states going through that right now, and they're suing the private prisons are suing them.
That is, I will say the
Crazy work.
more, I will say the more you know. Is there, oh, so do you have the information where someone can look up if they wanted to, in fact, find more information about things like this, or like stay abreast of information like that, where they can potentially look online or books?
Um, yeah, I mean, I follow Dr. Claude Anderson, his books, his works, Powernomics. Dirty Little Secrets. I think I had that too. I thought it was right there. But also John Hope Bryant. John Hope Bryant from the Hope Foundation. He's like a mentor as well. He's becoming more because he's more modern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what he talks about is based on the structure of Dr. Claude Anderson about, you know, financial literacy and how we as a people had more of it, then we would understand that we do need to work together and pool our funds together. We need our own bank. We need our own. I mean, this ain't 1920. They can't burn it down no more. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but we need our own bank. We need our own grocery store. We need our own. You know, I mean, we still have our own barbers, hairstylists, but the Black African American culture makes up, I think it's 33 trillion dollars now. We keep
Mm-hmm.
none of it.
Yeah, I've definitely.
But,
Go ahead, sorry.
no, but I'm saying, but people from other cultures use what we say and we do in our music and our comedy and all of that. They use that as a basis for what's cool in the world. But
Mm-hmm.
yet we get to keep none of it.
Yeah. So, how do you think we can change that or rewrite history moving forward?
Twofold. I think we need to get enough affluent Black people to believe in that concept and actually reach back. Because a lot of times once they get out of the hood and go to college and meet the right man and move out to the suburbs, they don't go to the hood no more. And
Mm-hmm.
they're a different kind of people than the people you grew up with. That's another lie. Also, that's for the affluent people. But also, like, what my organization does, we go to those who are at the highest risk of committing or being victims of violence. We go to those who are the most underserved and serve them first.
Mm-hmm.
We treat violence and poverty and the underserved community, we treat it as a public health issue. Um, and when a public health issue, I mean, when we treat violence like a disease. We go to the places where violence occur the most and start there. I mean, if you had a rash on your hand, why would I put ointment on your foot, right?
Right.
Right. I'm going to go put the ointment on the hand
On the
where,
him. Mm-hmm.
right. So, right. So it's the same concept. And then we work our way from the bottom up, and then we just need, more people on board from the top down.
Gotcha. So I have two questions with this one. So it's you co-founded Hope. Who is is there another party?
Hmm.
Who may I ask who that is?
Yeah, her name is Chitara Alexander. She's a co-founder, and I mean, we started it out the mud. And my mom, this is what happened. My mom retired about 5 years ago. Well, she's
Mm-hmm.
semi-retired. She ain't retired, but she says she is. But when she retired, she and myself, were both, we were both entrepreneurs. And we were already doing the work together. Like we were
Mm-hmm.
already doing it together anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But we were working with my mom and another organization. And so when my mom retired, she and I, and actually a couple other people, um, got together and just said we gonna keep going. But we were in a position because we were entrepreneurs that we could keep going with no funding. So but then we just kind of we what we did was rebranded, and then the programs are the same. It's just the people are different. Now she and myself are in charge, and then
Mhm.
we have a staff of 10.
Got you, got you. So when you co-founded Hope Hustlers, what vision did you have in mind for the future? And then like what key principles do you teach young people about turning their ideas into actions and or additional principles?
Yeah. Well, the idea was to continue to work. I mean, I wasn't going to stop the work. I mean, I didn't. I just it was not. My mom was retiring again, so she was like, she knew I was going to keep going on, and she and everybody was working with us knew that we
Mhm.
were going to keep going on. But I just thought, it was more appealing. Like my mom, the name of her organization was Visions Unlimited Community Development Systems, and that's cool.
Mhm.
People just call it visions, but that's a whole lot to say. It's just hope hustlers. So, but yeah, so it was really a rebranding. The main thing about the rebranding for us was we were literally starting over. Like my mom has had $1 million grants before and, had federal grants before. And, we worked under those grants, but Hope Hustlers had never had that, especially as a new nonprofit. So that was the growing pain we had to go through with that. Um,
Mhm.
so that's the first question, right?
Mhm.
And the
So I
second one was,
how do you what key principles do you teach young people about turning their ideas into action?
yeah, we use cognitive behavioral therapy with the CBT. And what that does is it teaches young adults, and some adults, they listen, that your thoughts determine ultimately your behaviors. Your thoughts and feelings. So if you have positive thoughts, you'll have positive feelings. If you have negative thoughts, you have negative feelings. Now, these feelings turns into actions and behaviors. So it's really about affirmation, seeking help, but having a plan. And so once they start to see how easy it is, and it just works. I mean, it's really not that hard to change your way of thinking. A lot of people think it's impossible, but it's really not. Especially when you can prove it through action.
Okay.
You know,
So, so you've helped countless people rewrite their stories. How has this process continued to shape your own?
Dealing with their stories helps me not relapse. So go back to old ways. But no, I mean seriously, yeah, just it gives me, reassurance that my purpose, I'm fulfilling it, I'm walking in it,
Okay.
so that's enough for me.
What do you think sets Black entrepreneurship apart? Like, what unique strengths or perspectives do you bring to business ownership?
And I just think the culture in general, you know what I mean? Our Black culture, and it dominates, it controls everything. Um, Again, all the other races base what's cool or what's not cool based, it's based on our culture. So, and I can't speak on behalf of Black men. What I do, and a lot of times like I own clubs and different things, but my thing is more so the operations and the efficiency of running a business than it
Mhm.
is the concept. I think any concept, if with the right planning and the right, forethought, um, can work. I just don't
Mhm.
think people don't understand the actual economics of it. I don't think, John Hope Bryant once said, like drug dealers are the best entrepreneurs. They understand marketing, they understand inventory, they understand, shipping and handling. They understand a lot of different aspects of business that if they apply that to a business, it'll work. And that's the same thing for me. I mean, it's all about that. In the restaurant is portion control. These little things, that just because unless we've grown up in a family business or whatnot, Black people in general, it's different here in Atlanta, obviously, because everybody got a business. But
Mhm.
that's the thing as people, we need to understand the financial literacy, not just for personal finances, but also for business finances and how business credit works, for instance, that people don't know Dun and Bradstreet. You have to, like, when you get a contract with different vendors and whatnot, you pay them on time, you have to report that to Dun and Bradstreet. It's not like personal credit where they're keeping track of your loans and credit cards and all that. So financial literacy for the most part. And
It's
that's
like
how I help black businesses.
mhm. It's like the Mecca out there in Atlanta. I kid you not. Like, and it's an absolute beautiful thing. But like, there are out here, like toward Chicago and in Illinois as a whole, there are of course several black businesses. So I don't want to sit here and make it seem like there's not. But when you hear Atlanta, you hear people with lash companies, salons, people doing trainings on how to train people in general, professional development, entrepreneurs in regards to people who sell cars, automotive, like so many lifestyle and like the people sell lifestyles like
I
like
agree. No, seriously.
it is the most amazing but like most eye-opening thing that like I've ever seen that like in one city it's just black greatness out there and there's like
Here's the
nothing
thing.
stopping it. So like what's the difference out there?
It's smoke and mirrors, first of all. Because let me give
Oh,
you some statistics. Right.
okay.
So I will say this. If you are black and
Mm-hmm.
you come to Atlanta, then it is easier for you to start and maintain a business because the culture is here.
Okay.
So there's plenty of women that wear lashes. There's plenty of women that do, there's plenty of black people. So the market is definitely here. The issue we have is that because of customer service and poor management, that, it seems like we have a lot of black businesses, but actually black businesses only make up 15% of the revenue in the city of Atlanta.
Really? Hmm. Okay.
Outside of Tyler Perry, what else is black owned? Uh, I mean, I can name tons of black owned businesses. I could, I can name, yeah, hundreds. I don't know anybody that's, first of all, ain't too many people on Tyler Perry's level. We do have JD, and this is less than 5% of the population, though.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 10 black men own 90% of the revenue. So, and only 15% of the overall revenue of the city of Atlanta. So I think that's the smoke and mirrors. And I think that we full, don't come here. I'm saying, we full.
Okay.
But
You said we full. Don't come in.
we
Don't come
full. We
out
don't
here because
we
I
don't
said
need
it's
no more
open.
businesses. They can't even run the ones they got right. But I think that's been the problem. I mean, it's easy to open a black business here because there's more affluent black people here,
Mm-hmm.
but business wise, we still don't make up the majority.
It sounds like you're saying that aspect of the financial literacy in regards to customer service, I think is what you were talking about. So that has to do with in regards to relate, which is interesting because relatability, I would think in regards to customer service would be high. I would assume, right? Again, assumption. But I also would assume in
If you
regards to customer service that it would be a little better, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised because out here we kind of run across that issue as well too, to where that I have gone to different establishments or whatnot, and the customer service is not necessarily always there. But I've also gone to some that are phenomenal, that are like they appreciate you every time you step in. They are on they are on and they just appreciate you celebrating. It's like going home. It's crazy as it is with some places I've gone to, and I would think universally that's how it should always be every time you go into a space.
I'm just, I don't know what it is. There's a sense of entitlement here as well.
Okay.
I think that gets in people's way a lot of times. I mean, I don't owe you nothing because you work at Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles. I mean, that you're not a celebrity. I mean, there's too many broke ass celebrities walking around Atlanta.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I
So
understand.
you go to the club and all the waitresses, they got their own section with the hookah and they got drinks. I can't get my drink. Y'all got a whole section over there and everybody chilling, smoking the hookah. So it's just weird energy all over. I think Atlanta's just different when they did the whole change the club scene up. It's just weird. But
It's changed
so,
up.
and we full, so don't come here. You can come and visit as long as you leave and then go home.
Leonard
You go
said,
home.
look, Leonard said, look, you come kick it. Go back home. Go back to your state.
We,
Did
yep,
we
we
have
see you
fun
next.
here? Then go back home.
Right.
Um, so how do you stay motivated and maintain integrity in a world that often creates extra barriers for black businesses, black business owners, correction.
I was going to quote Kanye on that one. You know, pretty much you asked me. uh, you know that song that came to mind? It was like, "How you stay faithful in a room full of or in a room full of hoes." I'm sorry, too much. I'm sorry.
That's
Uh,
okay.
ask the question again because I want to answer. I want to answer it correctly.
What
There's
did
a correct
Kanye
answer for this.
say?
You can
What
edit
was
that out
Kanye's
later.
song? No, it's okay.
Uh,
How do you stay motivated and maintain integrity in a world that often creates extra barriers for black business owners? Meaning, like when your back is against the wall, because you can see that I'm just going to metaphorically make up some names. Like Tommy over here is able to do this and not have to jump through any of these extra hurdles. Everything is fine. I have the same, you yourself, you have the same financial literacy, if not more. You have done everything that you need to do. You checked off all those metaphorical boxes, but you're still experiencing pushback. How do you handle that and still stay motivated? Because typically people will
wow.
give up.
Yeah, that goes back though. I was humble. I remember back when I was working at the bank and I was taking well, I was actually started to work for a brokerage firm in Richmond,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going through the process of taking my Series 7 and had this old white man in Clyde. I never forget him. Clyde was cool. He was just old, and but he was still, he was still had young heart. He knew what was going around, going on around him. And I remember I was studying for the test and going through. I was like, man, this test is culturally biased, man. They don't never want to see black people win. He said, hold up, Dundee, let me explain something to you. White people don't give a shit about white people. So this ain't even about you. We don't give a shit about each other. Now the thing is that if you win, then we'll embrace you. And obviously, the whole racial thing, I get it, but that's when I learned it wasn't about the color, and I could achieve anything I want. I just got to work a little bit harder. But so do black women and a lot of other people got to work harder. At the end of the day, though, the way I stay motivated is showing people I don't, I show, I let my success bother people,
Okay.
so just be mad.
I'm about to say I need everybody to go ahead and remember that. Make sure, as I told y'all before, and as y'all saw at the beginning of the video, make sure you have that pen and piece of paper ready. So as he just, Leonard, can you say it again for the people in the back? Let your success do
But
what?
I let my success speak for me or speak for mine. I let people be mad at that. That keeps me motivated. If I know that, especially if somebody told me I couldn't do something, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do it twice as better now and let that success from that, from what I did speak
Mm-hmm.
for it. And that ain't even matter. That ain't mad, man.
I'm about to say not mad man. um, what advice would you give a young black man who wants to build wealth, create impact, and build generational cycles through entrepreneurship? Or just in general, all those words. What would you say to a young black man who said he wants to be an entrepreneur? What steps would you give him?
Um, Yeah, first of all, it ain't for the faint of heart. This is not something, it's going to fail. And if you don't fail, then something is wrong. You're going to fail. But what you have to do is learn from your mistakes, be able to keep going. There's no days off. It's like when you hustle, there's no days off. Um, you can make time for your loved ones and all that, please do. But I don't go into the next year thinking, well, okay, you know, I'm going to take a vacation then there. And, for me, it's like I take it when I get it. So, I mean, just you're going to fail. You have to, stick to your plan. Surround yourself with people at your table. Like you should have 5 good mentors, right? And they should all be doing better than you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, yeah. And they can help you, surround yourself with others who are in business or in the particular business that you're in. And sometimes you got to work with somebody to learn the business. You know what I mean? So, don't think just because I want to open my store one day. Well, you might have to work for a store to learn how to do that. Even with me, like I got a nonprofit now, and we nationally recognized and all that. But at the end of the day, I learned this from working, with my mama. I've never ran a nonprofit before. I was always a for-profit guy. So,
Mhm.
yeah, embrace your mentorship. Find you a good mentor.
Okay. What does legacy mean to you, and what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
It means a lot. It means everything. I'm ended up doing the same work I watched my grandmothers do. The same thing my mom was doing. And, my kids, two entrepreneurs, one is a tech guy, but, um, you know, they, they, they see what I'm doing and appreciate it. They're not actually in what I'm into. I have my oldest son. He wants to open up group homes, and, it's all connected. And, my daughter, she will eventually one day, be a part of the business. She's a part of the business now, but more voluntary. Um, and they understand that it's not about me. Like I was telling them, I tell my kids, it's like, okay, well, whatever I got, I'm leaving y'all, but I'm really not leaving it to y'all. I'm leaving it to y'all grandkids. So, figure it out.
Mhm.
But this is not, so I
He said,
just
figure it out.
figure it out. But yeah, so I mean, it's everything. I mean, that should be for everyone. Either we're gonna break the chain, but legacies are always gonna be the legacies. Are always gonna be there. It's always that's a matter of time. But I think generational curses and that kind of thing, it's where it's more important to leave chains and break those chains. Because even with me, I mean, there's some things that in my past that um we had to break a generational curse.
That's what I'm gonna write that down specifically. Change to break the chain. That's great. That look, that might end up being. I think that might be the title.
I'm saying it's because it's that legacy is just as important as somebody who's actually leaving all wealth and whatnot to their their offspring and heirs.
hmm When I think of when I be sitting there thinking of legacy and just superficially, because of course I'm a woman, so there's only so much I can do in regards to my opinion of men because I would never know what it's like to be a man. But when I think of legacy, I always think of like, a father who says, like, I don't want you to be anything. Don't do what I did. Do as I say, don't
Right.
do as I do, and all these different things. But that's not what you said. And that's really interesting. You were like, look, this is what I'm going to be leaving behind. Y'all figure this stuff out. But you're already setting them up to create generational wealth to where they're not having
Right.
to figure it, on a funny note, you're like, figure it out money wise, whatever. But I'm pretty sure all that stuff will be set in place. But like, in in realistically what you're in fact doing is setting it up so that they can have their own and continue to keep on branching off, like as their kids come, like their kids will in fact have the opportunities to also be entrepreneurs, or if they wanted to work a 9 to 5, a 6 to 3 or 6 to 4,
Mhm.
whatever they would have choices, but the blueprint has already been set. And I think that's the biggest thing and the biggest purpose of heck, my channel as a whole is just being able to bring people on that can tell people about the different types of blueprints. So people can't say, "Oh, I didn't know." Yes, you did. There's a space for you to, in fact, learn step by step. Real people who've done these things, real people who've lived lives, and they're telling you firsthand, "Here is how you do it." And so, I appreciate you saying that in regards to what your legacy is.